He was telling them that if they did harm us, they would all be destroyed. After the talk had gone on for a considerable time, 8 of them arose and came over to us and told Jast that they would not stay, that they were very much afraid and were going to try and go to their camp, as it was located on the same stream but a few miles below. They had been able to get their location from the clump of trees where we were encamped. They then mounted their horses and rode away downstream. In about 20 minutes they all returned, saying the snow had fallen so deep their horses could not travel and face the storm, which was the heaviest they had experienced for many years. Then they began making themselves comfortable for the night. One of our party said, "Well, I suppose they will be more comfortable here, that even if they are afraid, than they would be out in the storm." Jas turned to us and said, "The Father's house is where you are abiding. If you are within that house, and do there abide, you are in the glad spirit of the Father. Of what avail is the warmth and cheer that abides within the house, if you are not of the house, or know not the warmth and cheer that abides therein? You may invite those that remain just outside, and they will not enter, for they know not where you abide. These dear ones here, while they feel the warmth, will not come nearer, for the reason that they have always preyed upon their fellow men, and they cannot understand that those same men whom they have looked upon as legitimate prey should befriend them, without some reason for doing so, especially as they do not belong to their band. They do not know that within the snow or cold or heaviest storm the Father abides, and that those who make him home, his home, their home, and thereby abide, cannot be harmed by storm or wind or tide. It is only when you are out of contact with God that the winds, the storms, and the tides sweep over you. It is when one can stand steadfastly and unwaveringly, with his eyes fixed directly on God, knowing and seeing no other, that he can accomplish what you now see. Our thought is, I stand steadfastly with my eyes fixed on you, O Father, knowing naught but you, Father, and I see naught but God in all things. I stand firmly on the holy mount, knowing naught but your love, life, and wisdom. Your divine spirit pervades me always. It surrounds me and abounds within and without me always. I know, Father, that this is not for me alone, but it is for all thy children. I know, Father, that I have naught but that which they have, and there is naught but God for all. I thank thee, Father. The real peace may be found even in the heart of the storm, but deep in the heart of the man who has found himself is the true calm. On the contrary, man may be in the remote wilderness, alone with the twilight and the vast silence of nature, and yet be torn by the winds of passion or shaken by the thunders of fear. Nature, carelessly observed, seems to have given brute strength, greed, and capacity for shedding weaker animals' blood an incomparable advantage. But notice the following simple facts that few have thought about. There are more lambs in the world than lions. That is not an accident. Nature is not a blind, blundering thing. Nature is God at work, and God neither wastes material, nor does he blunder in his building. Does it not strike you as a strange thing that in the melting pot of nature's primal forces, the lion has not eaten up the lamb before man appeared upon the scene? The lamb has literally stripped the lion in the struggle for existence. Nor is it man's siding with the lamb against the lion that explains the result. In all probability, man began his career of slaughter by killing the docile first. It is certain that he kills more lambs than lions. It is not man, but nature, that pronounces condemnation of lion's kin. Reflect a moment, and you will see that nature cannot give distinctive strength in opposite directions to the same animal. The lion is a great fighter, but a slow breeder. All the strength of his fine body goes to fighting form. Having young is detrimental and becomes the incident of his life. The lamb, on the other hand, is not a fighter and therefore is weak. The lamb spends no energy in fighting and accordingly is a better breeder. Nature acknowledges that in creating the lion she made a mistake. She is correcting that mistake. the lion and all other animals whose instinct is to kill are disappearing. There are no exceptions to this sentence of extinction pronounced by nature's immutable law against all beings of the preying kind. Nature rules according to an eternal equity, and by the very law of the universe, the fighter fights a losing battle, always has and always will, whether he be the animal or the animal man, in the forest or in the city, now and forever. The lion loses. He loses when he wins. He dies when he kills. He is by the very nature of things eating his own kind when he rends the warm flesh of the lamb he tore from the flock. When the first lion struck his prey with his mighty paw and growled through his bloody chops the delight he felt, he was singing, not the death of the helpless that he was eating, but the funeral hymn of his own kind. Savagery is a poor rallying point. Lions do not herd. Bears do not go in flocks. Savages among men form small groups and fight each other. Wildness turns on its own kind among beasts or men and is a source of weakness. In the analogy of things, wild beasts must go. No great soldier ever really conquered anything. His victories are all illusions. Soldiers' empires, if they rest on nothing more substantial than the sword, swiftly fall to pieces. In the end, the soldiers must repudiate force and resort to justice and reason, or their empires crumble. The beast of prey, whether he is brute or human, is solitary, hopeless, and helpless, irrevocably doomed. For gentleness is the real strength. Gentleness is the lion, with all of the lion's attributes, except the taste for blood, and slowly all life is coming beneath its all-conquering rule. Man is made or unmade by himself. In the armory of thought he forges the weapons by which he destroys himself. He also fashions the tools with which he builds for himself heavenly mansions of joy, strength, and peace. By the right choice and true application of thought, man ascends to the divine perfection. By the abuse and wrong application of thought, he descends below the level of the beast. Between these two extremes are all of the grades of character, and man is their maker and master. These bandits are the remnants of a once great and prosperous people. Their forefathers inhabited this country when it was a beautiful, thriving industrial empire. They knew the sciences and arts. They also knew their own origin and power, and they worshipped that origin and power only. There came a time when they began to look to the body for pleasure, and in time the body failed them. Then a great cataclysm swept over the land, devastating it and leaving only a few scattered people on the higher ground. These developed into communities and became the larger races of Europe. The region where we are and that of the Gobi were cut off and raised bodily until nothing grew. The people were so nearly destroyed that there were only a few isolated communities, and at times only one or two families left. These gathered in bands and are the ancestors of the present people. They cannot prosper, as they are continually at war with each other. While their history and origin have been forgotten, their religion and legends can be traced to the one source. Wherever you find them, you will find some of the fundamentals alike, although their forms differ widely. Here Jas said that he feared he had already wearied us, as our friends were fast asleep. We looked in the direction of the bandits, and sure enough, they were all asleep. They, as well as we, had forgotten the storm, which was still unabated. We went into the tent and retired again, thankful to our friends. When we awoke the next morning, the sun was shining and the whole camp was astir. We dressed hastily and went out to find that the company, bandits and all, were waiting for us. At breakfast we were told that it had been arranged we should travel as far as the bandits' camp together, as it would be easier to break trail when we were all together. The bandits seemed pleased at the prospect, but I cannot say we were, for we were told that there were about 150 at their camp,